freight ship exodus of 2020 continues. At first, it was just 13 ships for Carnival Corporation, but they've tacked 2 more on. And is Norwegian selling cruise ships? Royal Caribbean selling cruise ships? The fleet's getting smaller, folks, and cruising has begun, or will begin, this weekend in North America, in Alaska, of all places. Did you know about it? I got another little cruise line I don't think anybody knows about. In today's episode of the Lido Loca Cruise Show, let's talk about the list of ships that are gone and the latest cruise news. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Tony. If you enjoy that cruising and travel content, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of the episodes. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. Let's swing through the cruise news a little bit. I've got some good news for people that are hoping to see cruising resume around the world. And the short version is cruising is beginning in a lot of places in August. Carnival Cruise Corporation, AIDA, going to start cruising in August. TUI Cruises got them Mein Schiff cruises out in August. Genting Cruises in Asia got them cruises going in August. And you may be saying, well, where are these cruises going to go? It doesn't seem like there's any cruise ports open. Well, there are ports that cruise ships can go to. Significantly, Greece is reopening 6 cruise ports August the 1st so that Mediterranean Ocean cruises can resume. I'm going to try to rattle off these 6 ports. I'm going to butcher every one, I think, so please forgive me for the pronunciation. Here they are: Piraeus, Rhodes, Heraklion, Volos, Corfu, and Katakolo. Those are 6 cruise ports in Greece that you can go to on a cruise ship starting August the 1st. And the cool thing about this reopening is it's being promoted by the country's tourism minister. They sent out letters to CLIA, to MSC Cruise Lines, to Costa and TUI saying, look, Greece is open, ready for business. The one big health protocol they're putting in place is that for passengers wanting to disembark at these Greek ports, they have to have a negative virus test with them, a test that was taken within 72 hours of them beginning their voyage. So if you got the right paperwork, if you got the right documentation, you can visit one of these 6 Greek cruise ports from one of your favorite cruise lines. It's good news for cruising. There's also another country that is opening up to tourism, which does have a cruise port. Now, not specifically opening up to cruising, but this is a Caribbean country, Dominica. They have a cruise port there in Roseau, their capital city. And they will be reopening to tourism on August the 7th. They closed their borders down on March the 25th at the onset of the challenges that we're having. And so now on August the 7th, they will be inviting foreign nationals to visit the country primarily through the airline system at first. And again, just like in Greece, there will be health protocols that dictate the terms of stay or the terms of entry for foreign visitors. And just like Greece, you will have to prove that you're testing negative for the virus with a test that's going to be given there at the airport, or if you bring results that were in 72 hours of traveling to the country. This does bode well for cruising in North America because you're going to have ports to go to. You can't cruise to nowhere because of the maritime laws in the United States. And so the more ports that are accepting passengers, the more countries that are accepting tourists, the better position they are to resume cruising as cruising resumes toward the end of this year or into next year. Good information there. Cruising firing up around the world, and we're making some headway, hopefully, here in North America. And if things go well this weekend, cruising will resume in North America. Now, not cruising as we know it, but cruising nonetheless. There is a cruise company called Uncruise Adventures, and they have some small cruise ships that make their way around Alaska, and they've been approved to sail this weekend. They have gotten approval from the Coast Guard to sail from Juneau, Alaska to Southeast Alaska with a whopping 36 passengers. Now, this is a small cruise ship. The normal capacity is about 60 passengers. It's called the Uncruise Wilderness Adventure. Social distancing, of course, will be a major protocol used on this cruise ship. In addition, there will be cleaning and daily temperature checks of both the crew and the passengers. This cruise line exempt from any CDC guidelines because of the number of passengers that they sail with. And they're also positioned well for this cruise to go off because they really don't want to go to any other ports. This has been a stumbling block for other small cruise lines like American Cruise Lines. They wanted to go somewhere, and you had those destination cities saying they weren't welcome. Well, this cruise line is all about not going anywhere. It's about small group adventures. They let passengers off of the cruise ship so that they can do things like kayaking and fishing and camping. So they're all kind of set up to go to remote places with small groups and to do things away from port cities anyway. So for 30 outdoor adventure type people, they're going on a cruise this weekend. This is almost set to go. So unless there's some sort of last minute cancellation, they might be able to stake the claim that they're the first cruise ship to do anything in North America since the shutdown. I'm wishing them luck, and I'm watching, hoping things go well for Uncruise the Wilderness Adventure. Now to the main event, the exodus of cruise ships in 2020. It's an interesting time. I got a lot of camera gear around the house, and I don't think about it. It's on the shelf. I don't use all of it as much as I used to, and probably in my mind, it would be a good time, especially in these challenging situations, to maybe sell off some stuff that's older, some stuff that I don't use anymore, some stuff that I could turn into liquid cash opposed to just having stuff sitting around in my inventory. Yeah, that's the analogy. Cruise lines doing the same thing. Cruise lines looking really hard at their cruise ship inventory and saying, okay, what's making money for us? What's got good technology on it? And what stuff we may just need to get rid of? Early in July, Carnival Cruise Corporation said, look, we're going to accelerate the removal of 13 cruise ships from our fleet over the next 90 days. We're going to trim the fat, as it were. We're going to get in a leaner, more robust position so that we can continue cruising. And we've been tracking along with that. We watched some of our favorite ships, the Monarch of the Seas, the Carnival Fantasy, chug its way to the scrapyard to be dismantled. But what I realized is I don't think I've compiled the list. I'm like, have we hit the 13? Have we not hit the 13? We've hit the 13, I think. I'm going to tell you the cruise ships that I think make up the 13. But stop the presses. Carnival just came out a couple days ago and said, we're not done there. But wait, there's more. Not only are we going to cut 13 ships, we're going to cut 2 more ships. They didn't name the ships. So let me tell you the 13. I'll tell you 2 ships that are kind of in limbo that may be the other 2. But yes. So just to catch you up. But first, to remind you, we're talking about Carnival Corporation. That is a family of cruise lines that consist of Carnival Cruise Line, Holland America Line, Princess Cruises, Seabourn, Cunard, AIDA Cruise Lines, Costa Cruises, and P&O Cruises in the United Kingdom and Australia. So we're not just talking about picking off 13 cruise ships from good old Carnival Cruise Line, the fun ships we know. This is across the brands. Here's the ships that I know. And the first 4 ships were actually talked about in 2019. They're included in the 13 ships, and there's an exit plan for them. Not all of them left the fleet, but these weren't surprises. These were put in the mix back in 2019. P&O Australia's Pacific Dawn, P&O UK's Pacific Aria, Costa Atlantica, and Costa Mediterranea. That's the first 4. Now we know about the Carnival Fantasy and the Carnival Inspiration. That gets us up to the 6. Now we have the Holland America ships, the MS Amsterdam, the MS Maasdam, the MS Rotterdam, and the MS Veendam. That puts 4 more. That brings us up to 10. We've seen the exit of the P&O Oceania. We know that the Costa Victoria and the Costa Neo Romantica are in the list. That's 13. Now, I hope that's the 13 they were talking about in the original filing on July the 10th. But then on July the 29th, they did announce there would be 2 more cruise ships that are being sold. Toot sweet. Almost immediately. They didn't name them, but in all of this, there was a couple other Carnival Fantasy class ships that were taken out of service. That's the Carnival Fascination and the Carnival Imagination. They were put in layup until further notice, so I don't know if these are the 2 that are being referenced in this latest filing or if there's going to be 2 other cruise ships added to the mix. But all in all, Carnival Corporation dumping 15 ships from its inventory. It had a fleet of over 100. This is going to reduce the fleet to under 100. But getting smaller, getting leaner, getting ready to go back to cruising with less inventory. So that's Carnival Corporation. You may be asking, well, what about the other big ones? What about Norwegian Cruise Line? What about the Royal Caribbean Group? Well, Norwegian Cruise Line's at this point not getting rid of any cruise ships. They're holding on to their fleet size. And then Royal Caribbean, I guess the only thing that you could look at is that the Pullman Tour, which they owned 49% of, that cruise line went out of business. They had 3 cruise ships there. A lot of them were older Royal Caribbean cruise ships, and they've made their way to the scrapyard. So you could count those 3 toward Royal Caribbean. Now, there are some people out there watching the position of cruise ships. I found this article on Cruise Critic where people are watching the positioning of cruise ships. They noticed that the Empress of the Seas, which was built in 1990, has set a course for Malta. Now, Malta is not traditionally known as a place where cruise ships go to be scrapped, but it is known as a place, as a stopping place before cruise ships make their way to Turkey. And if we know anything about Turkey, we know that that's where the scrap yards are at. So some speculation out there. Is the Empress of the Seas on her voyage to the scrapyard? We'll continue to watch that. I'll finish it up with the camera analogy. While it's sad that I don't use the same camera that I did a couple years ago, I feel like the camera that I'm using is a better quality and it works better for what I'm doing with YouTube. And so hopefully that's the same scenario for the cruise lines. They're able to get rid of older inventory that they may not have done, that they were just maybe dragging along because it was still making them some money. Well, maybe now they're positioned to get rid of old technology, bring in new technology, and make cruising better as time goes on. That's the way I'm going to look at it, at least. What do you guys think? Any speculation on what the next 2 Carnival Corp ships could be? Do you think it's those other 2 Fantasy class ships that got put into layup? And what about the old Empress of the Seas? Interesting times. Thank you so much for watching the show today. Please show your support by hitting the like button. My name's Tony for Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.